You pushed it? So we live? No. Okay. Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom out there. How y'all doing?
I don't think we need the mic though.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess, yeah. Probably don't. Cause we good right here. Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom. How we doing out there? Hope we taking care of ourselves. We in the midst of the shutdown right now, and we just, right now it's just me and Mello and Trav, and we gonna drop today's lesson. We hope that Yahuwah is increasing y'all through these times where we dealing with the COVID and all that, and I hope we staying prayed up. Hope we taking care of our health out there, and remember Yahuwah is who we rely on to get through any times, any season that's rough. All right. So today I'm gonna drop on my title is Rose, the man of the virtuous couple. Rose, the virtuous couple. As you know, I've been teaching on, different aspects of the woman and the man. Today we're gonna talk about how they can dwell together and go into some examples and pull some things out. All right. So for starters, yeah, you know what? We got to pray in first. Sorry about that. Wanted to use one of the mics. Okay. So they can hear you. I didn't know.
All lines clear?
Yes, sir.
This is Deuteronomy, or Devarim, chapter 6 and verse 4. Hear, O Yisrael, Yahuwah Elohim, Yahuwah is one. Shema Yisrael,
Shema Yisrael,
Yahuwah Eloheinu,
Yahuwah Eloheinu,
Yahuwah Akkad.
Yahuwah Akkad.
This is Exodus, or Shemot, chapter 20, beginning at verse 3. We will have no other mighty ones
We will have no other mighty ones
against the Most High.
against the Most High.
We will not make any carved image
We will not make any carved image
or any likeness
or any likeness
of that which is in Shamayim above,
of that which is Shamayim above,
or which is in the earth beneath,
or which is in the earth beneath,
or which is in the waters under the earth.
or which is in the waters under the earth.
We will not bow down to them,
We will not bow down to them,
nor serve them.
nor serve them.
For Yahuwah El
For Yahuwah El
is a jealous El,
is a jealous El,
visiting the wickedness
visiting the wickedness
of the fathers on the children,
of the fathers on the
to
children,
the third and fourth generation
to the third and fourth generation
of those that hate him,
of those that hate
but
him,
showing kindness
but showing
to
kindness
thousands of
to
those
thousands of those
who love him
who love him
and keep his commandments.
and keep his commandments.
We will not bring the name
We will not bring the name
of Yahuwah
of
El
Yahuwah
to
El
nothing.
to nothing.
For Yahuwah
For Yahuwah
will not leave us unpunished,
will not leave us unpunished,
who brings his name to nothing.
who brings his name to nothing.
We will remember the Shabbat day
We will remember the Shabbat day
to keep it Kodesh.
to keep it Kodesh.
6 days we will labor
6 days we will labor
and do all our work,
and do all our works,
but the seventh day
but the seventh day
is the Shabbat
is the Shabbat
of Yahuwah
of
El.
Yahuwah El.
For in 6 days
For in 6 days
Yahuwah made Shamayim
Yahuwah made Shamayim
and the earth
and the earth
and the sea
and the sea
and all that is in them.
and all that is in them,
And rested the seventh day.
and rested the seventh day.
Therefore Yahuwah Barak the Shabbat day.
Therefore Yahuwah Barak the Shabbat day.
We will respect our fathers
We will respect our fathers
and our mothers,
and our
so
mothers,
that our days are long
so that our days are long
upon the earth.
upon the earth.
We will not murder.
We will not
We
murder.
will not commit adultery.
We will not commit
We
adultery.
will not steal.
We will not steal.
We will not bear false
We
witness
will not bear false witness
against our neighbor.
against our neighbors.
We will not covet
We will not covet
anything
anything
that is our neighbor.
that is our neighbor's.
Oh, Father Yah, we just want to thank you for allowing us to come before you on this blessed Sabbath. We thank you for allowing us to gather on this blessed Sabbath, Father. We just ask that you continue to protect us from the confines of the COVID disease, Father. And we ask that you just continue to guide us in righteousness, purifying us in the heart, washing us with your word, Father. And just we pray that you just continue to be a life. Father, we just want to ask that you give me utterance as I get ready to teach your word, and give the hearers understanding that they may receive your word, Father, that we may utilize this word as a tool against Satan and his devices, that we may always use your word as a tool or as a weapon to fight against the devices that he may have against us, Father. We thank you so much for choosing us out of the world. We thank you for giving us understanding that we may, understanding of your kingdom and understanding of how to serve you, Father. In the name of our Master, Yahushua HaMashiach, so be it.
So be it.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
All right. All right. So now that we prayed in, like I said, I had been going into the different aspects of the woman and the man and how they can dwell together, or how they operate as a righteous man, a man of valor, or a virtuous woman, right?
Speak a little bigger.
Okay.
Yeah, they said volume was low.
Volume low? Oh, okay.
Yeah, he ain't not really speaking big.
Okay. Let's test it real quick. Can y'all hear me now? See if they can hear me. Speak a little.
Like I'm sitting here and
Right.
you talking low,
Low. Okay.
to me.
Okay. Can you see if they can hear me? Can they hear me? Can y'all hear me now? Let's test this real quick. I'll make sure I speak louder. But yeah, like I was saying, I was going into the things about the mighty man of valor and the virtuous woman. And right now, what we're going to get off into is how they can dwell together. So that's why I titled it the virtuous couple. All right. Roles. All right. So we're going to get off into that. How we sounding? We sounding? Okay. That's good. All right. All right. So what does it mean to be a virtuous couple? What does it mean to be a virtuous couple? All right. So y'all want to give some input? What does it mean? What y'all think it mean to be a virtuous couple? Yeah, we gonna hear. What does it mean to be a virtuous couple?
You know, like your Jay-Z's and your Beyonce's, you know what I mean?
Power couple.
Power couple, you know what I mean? On Yahuwah's side.
On Yahuwah's side. Okay. All right. So I guess they have some attributes of what a virtuous couple is about. All right. So when we look up that word virtuous, usually when you think about in terms of the scriptures and how we look at Proverbs 31, you look at Proverbs 12:4, it's talking about a virtuous woman. But that word virtuous is in the Hebrew, it's H24 and 28, and that's Chayil. And that means, virtuous, but it also means valor, like how we was talking about the man of valor, right? So you can have a woman of valor. All that means is that, the woman is operating in righteousness according to the ways of the Most High, and so is the man, all right? Valor, virtuous, valiant, strength, worthily, riches, and might. These things all pertain to the definition of virtuous or valor, right? All right, and that means, in virtuous and valor, I got a little definition. It means conformity to a standard of righteousness. Now, that standard of righteousness is Torah for us, right? And the things that Yahushua is teaching us, right? Or that he taught us. So, conformity to a standard of righteousness, Torah and the teachings of Yahuwah. Or Yahusha, right? So we're going to let's open up with Exodus 18 and 19. Let's get some examples of that, of how a man could be a virtuous or a man of valor. Let me get there. Exodus 18 and verse 19. All right, go ahead, Doc.
Exodus chapter 18 and verse 19. Hearken now unto me, unto my voice. I will give thee counsel, and Elohim shall be with me.
Now look at that. Now
you.
Right now, at this point, you have Jethro, who's getting ready to give Moses some understanding on how to govern the people. He just told him to listen to him. And it's because what Moses is doing at this point, he is got all the people coming to him, asking them questions, and he have to give them the answers all by himself. And you're talking about literally thousands, millions of people, right? Those 600 and something thousand people coming out of Egypt, and not including men and women, or not including women and children. All right. So go ahead and finish that up.
Hearken now unto my voice, I will give thee counsel, and Elohim shall be with you. Be thou for the people to Elohim ward, that thou mayest bring the causes unto Elohim, and you shall teach the ordinances and the laws, shall thou shew them the way wherein they must walk, and work that they must do. Moreover, you shall provide out of all the people able men.
Now look at that. Read that part again.
Moreover, you shall provide out of all the people able men.
Now that able men, when you look it up, it is the very word that means virtuous. All right. And that's that chayil. That chayil means valor or virtuous or valiant or strength. So able men, right? Now this, understand, when we get ready to finish this off, it's not going to say anything pertaining to war. When we think about a man of valor, we always think about a man that's willing to go out to war. But it's not always it's not only talking about that. And that's what I went here for. I want to show that these men are just men of understanding. Now, of course, if they need to, they'll go out to war if it's time for that. But right now, in this context, it's not talking about a man that's of war only. It's talking about a man of understanding. Keep reading.
Moreover, you shall provide out of all the people able men, such as fear Elohim, men of truth, hating covetousness, and place such over them to be rulers of thousands, and rulers of hundreds, and rulers of fifties, and rulers of tens. And let them judge the people at all seasons.
Now look at that. These are men of understanding. It says able men such as fear Elohim. All right, so they revere Elohim, men of truth, hating covetousness. So they men of truth and hating covetousness, right? And place such over them to be rulers over thousands. So these men are going to be rulers. Some is going to be rulers over thousands, rulers over hundreds, rulers over fifties, and rulers over tens. Has nothing to do with going out to war. I like to point that out because often when we hear the word of valor, we think it's talking about going to war. I mean, spiritually, of course, we always are in a war when we talk in terms of good and evil, but we're not talking about a physical war. We're talking about, the spiritual battle. And these men here are governing the children of Israel. So Moses is delegating that authority to them by way of Jethro, right? Him giving him understanding. Ultimately, the Most High. Read.
And let them judge the people at all seasons, and it shall be that every great matter they shall bring unto you, but every small matter they shall judge. So shall it be easier for yourself, and they shall bear the burden with you. Right.
So now, look at that. So they shall bear the burden with you. All right, taking some of the stress off of Moses, right? Keep reading.
If you shall do this thing, and Elohim command you so, then shall you be able to endure, and all this people shall also go to their place in peace. So Moses listened unto the voice of his father-in-law, and did all that he had said. And Moses chose able men out of Israel, and made them heads over the people, rulers of thousands, rulers of hundreds, rulers of fifties, and rulers of tens.
That's it on that. All right, so Moses went ahead and followed that counsel from Jethro, and broke it down and delegated some of that power that he had to those able men that he had chosen, right? Let's go to Proverbs 31. All right, so while you have men with those attributes, you have women with those attributes as well. Just want to kind of reiterate some of this stuff. that we already went over. Proverbs 31 and 20.
Proverbs, what is it?
31 and verse 20.
Proverbs 31 and 20. She stretcheth out her hand to the poor, yea, she reacheth forth her hands to the needy.
Right.
She
So
is-
she stretches out her hand to the poor, yea, she reaches forth her hands to the needy. Verse 23.
her husband is known in the gates when he sitteth among the elders of the land.
So now think about that for a second. Think in terms of what we just read in Exodus, how these able men were already known in that they were men of truth. They hated covetousness. These men were known and respected amongst the children of Israel. And Moses chose these men because he felt that they were able men. Think about what's said here. Verse 23, it says, her husband is known in the gates when he sits among the elders of the land. We're going to touch on something a little bit later about that. And the reason is because you must see, like, if one is conducting themselves in one way, the wife must conduct herself in a certain way as well. So just like these men were able men, meaning they were righteous, though our wives and our women, they need to conduct themselves in a certain manner. So the whole house is in order, right? We're going to touch on this a little bit later. Like, let's keep going. Go to verse 25.
Verse 25, strength and honor are her clothing, and she shall rejoice in time to come.
Strength and honor are her clothing. Just like, so she wears strength and honor like a garment, right? So she's also, known in the land to be a woman of righteousness as well. Honor is her clothing, right? Just like the men, the able men. Read.
26, verse 26, she opened her mouth with wisdom, and in her tongue is the law of kindness.
Look at that. She opens her mouth with wisdom, just like the able men. She opens her mouth with wisdom, and she opens her mouth with wisdom, and in her tongue is the law of kindness, right? Verse 30.
Verse 30, favor is deceitful, and beauty is vain, but a woman that feareth Yahuwah, she shall be praised.
But a woman that fears Yahuwah, she shall be praised. So she'll get respect, just like the able men. The able men get respect because they are men of truth, such as fear Elohim. This is the reason they was chose. So it's showing you, like, I'm going here to show you that if a man is going to be respected and a man of truth and a man of valor, it's necessary that he have him a virtuous woman. We need not to be unequally yoked. All right. And I know that sometimes we come into this walk and we might be choosing this walk, or our spouse might be choosing this walk before us. But the scriptures speak against being unequally yoked. Right. So if we can help it, try to stay away from being unequally yoked. But if we in that situation, of course, we need to be in continuing prayer for those that are unequally yoked, and those that's actually in the marriage need to be in continuing prayer for that individual that's that they married to, whether it's the woman or the man that's in the world, need to be constantly in prayer for them, right? So they can come up out of their darkness. All right, and we're going to talk about how to deal with those type of scenarios a little bit later. All right, so let's go to 1 Timothy 3. All right, so just like, keep in mind, that's my phone, I'm sorry. Put this thing on mute. Sorry about that. Forgot to put this thing on mute. Sorry about that, y'all. All right. Now, so 1 Timothy 3 and verse 1. All right, we're going to touch on how like it talks about the leadership, right? and how the leaderships must be blameless. All right, and how their wives also must be blameless. Let's see. All right, 1 Timothy 3 and verse 1. Go ahead and read that.
1 Tim chapter 3 and verse 1. This is a true saying. If a man desire the office of a bishop, he desire for good work.
All right, so if a man desire the office of a bishop, he desire a good work. Let's see why. Go ahead.
A bishop then must be blameless, the husband of one wife, vigilant, sober, of good behavior, given to hospitality, apt to teach.
So he must be a man of one wife, vigilant, sober, of good behavior, given to hospitality, and able to teach. Read.
Not given to wine, nor a striker, not greedy of filthy lucre, but patient, not a brawler, not covetous, one that ruleth well his own house, having his children in subjection with all gravity.
You don't like that word? I got another translation. Okay, go ahead.
If a man know not how to rule his own house, how shall he take care of the congregation of Elohim?
Right, so if a man know not how to rule his own house, how can he take care of the congregation of Elohim? So this man must be blameless.
But patient, not a brawler, not covetous, one that ruleth well his own house, having his children in subjection with all.
No striker, not greedy of filthy lucre. So he's not out after riches. That's not where his heart is at. But patient, not a brawler, not covetousness. So he's not lusting after other people's possessions, right? One that rules well his own house. And that's the key, ruling well your own house as a man, right? So you got your wife in control, you got your kids under control, you got, you know what I mean? You got yourself under control, you taking care of your household. These things are very important, all right? And I'm not talking about like you will have issues in your marriage at times. I'm not talking about that because that's a package deal, like what Paul was talking about in 1 Corinthians 7. There's going to be strife in the flesh. Having your house in subjection is very important, all right? With you getting respect from your woman and you loving your woman, that, and having your kids on a righteous path, very important, right? Keep reading. Where were you at, verse 6?
Verse 6.
Yeah, go ahead.
Not a novice, lest being lifted up with pride, he fall into the condemnation of the devil. Moreover, he must have a good report of them which are without coach, and the snare of the devil.
All right, look at that. So basically just talking about his reputation. All right, he have to have a good reputation. All right, this man that chose to be a bishop. All right, this man that's chosen to be a bishop, that must be of a good reputation, right? Our reputations are on the line. Our name is very important. Let's pause there. We're going to come back here. Go to Proverbs 22. Proverbs in verse 1. Go ahead.
Proverbs chapter 22 and verse 1. A good name is rather to be chosen than great riches.
Read that again.
A good name is rather to be chosen than great riches, and loving favor rather than silver and gold.
A good name is rather to be chosen than great riches. You would rather have a good name than great riches, right? And in the situation with the bishop, I mean, that good name is necessary to be in that seat. Okay. Timothy 3 and pick up at verse 8. Let me get there. Never use these tabs. Go ahead.
1 Tim chapter 3 and verse 8. Likewise must the deacons be grave, not double-tongued, not given to much wine, not greedy of filthy lucre.
Now look at that. The deacons also that's serving in the church must be grave, not double-tongued, not given to much wine, not greedy of filthy lucre, right? Just like the bishop, the deacon as well got to have a good reputation, right? And got to have certain things out of his heart before he can serve as a
Holding the mystery.
deacons, right? Go ahead.
Let the deacons be the husbands of one wife, ruling their children and their own houses well. For they that have used the office of a deacon well purchases to themselves a good degree and great boldness in the faith which is Yahushua HaMashiach.
All right, let's pause right there. So, all right, so the deacons also and their wives. Now, I want you to read that same verse out of here. All right, we got the NRSV here. It says something slightly different here, just to consider. It's in context. It's in line with what we're reading, but it's pretty important just to at least consider, right? So this is 1 Timothy out of the NRSV, chapter 3 and verse 11. No, as a matter of fact, this is the REB, right? Read it over there. The Revised English Bible. Read that.
On this side right here?
Yep.
Of impeccable, hold on, which
Verse
verse?
11.
Verse 11.
Mm-hmm.
Women in this office must likewise be dignified, not scandalmongers, but sober and trustworthy in every way.
Right. So now right there, it says women in this office. That's the part I want to focus on. Now, the KJV actually says, and their wives. All right. Just in case some of you might probably read other translations, I'm sure. But if you run into something like that, which I tried to do a little research on this. Now, either one, whether it's the wives of the deacon or it's a woman that's in that that's looking to be amongst the congregation and do the work, all right, she must carry herself a certain way, all right. So you're talking about a woman that is looking to do the work of the Most High, and she's a part of a congregation. Even she must be free of scandal mongering. She got to also have a good reputation. She can't be about filthy lucre, stuff like that. Just like the deacons and the bishops. Okay. So now when you read it out of KJV says in the verse 11, it says, even so must their wives be grave, right? Their wives. But just in case, like I said, I tried to do a little research. You know, sometimes the translations is different. That is the Revised English Bible, and it says even women in that office, right? Women in that office, the scriptures talk about a woman not necessarily usurping authority over a man. So say if they're in that office, it's them doing work amongst the congregation under the authority of the man. So under the authority of the bishop, right? All right, let's keep going in the KJV. Yep. And out of that, yeah. We, as a matter of fact, pick up at go to Romans 16 and 1. Now this is Romans 16 and verse 1. Let me see. They did have female ministers amongst the congregation, but again, doing work from their role as a minister did not mean that they're about to get up here and teach the congregation or get up here and usurp authority over a man. It just meant that they were doing work in the congregation amongst the body of believers. Okay, so go to Romans 16 and 1.
Romans chapter 16 and verse 1. I commend unto you Phoebe, our sister, which is a servant of the congregation which is at Centera.
Right. So she's Phoebe is a servant at the congregation of Centera, right? So now look what it calls her in here. 16:1 in here. Right, read 16:1 out of the NRSV right there.
Romans 16:1. Command to you, our sister Phoebe, a deacon of the congregation of Sincera.
Right, so it calls her a deacon there, right? Certain, and here in the KJV it calls her a servant, right? But I'm just showing you this to show you that the woman, when she chose to do this work and she's given that title, she must operate just as is described in of the deacons in 1 Timothy. All right, must be blameless, must not be about filthy lucre, and conducting herself in a manner that she represent the Most High the right way, just like the bishops and male deacons as well. Okay, KJV says that the wives of the deacons. So, talking about our wives, those that's in leadership positions must conduct themselves in a certain way as well. All right, in full order, the man being the head of his house, the wives being okay with that and operating according to that order. All right. Acts 18 and verse 1. Mm-hmm.
So you saying that the deacons that's mentioned in Timothy can be either one or the other? It can be male or female?
Yeah, based on that was said in Timothy. I was showing this in here because this translation says that. So just in case somebody would run into that, because I talked to somebody that ran into that. So, and they was asking me about that. So I pointed it out and I dealt with that. And then you go to Romans 16 and it shows the woman that's a servant. But then you go into that word and it says servant, it says minister, it says deacon as well. So just in case from that perspective, but it's not saying that they can usurp authority over a man. It's just saying that if they, pretty much talking about the office that they chose.
So just real quick, I'll let you get back to it.
Okay.
I think that these deacons in here are of a different type of authority than the deacon that is mentioned for her in Romans 16.
Right. So what is it saying?
So, like, that word deacon got different definitions or whatever. Right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The one for servant actually would actually go better for that. What she got going on, because it says a servant food. Let me see. Let me put it right there. But the one in Timothy is specific to males. So it's like it's showing like a difference.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Right. That's why I showed it that way. Somebody showed me this, and so I was like, all right, well, just in case this is saying this, then that's why I did it like that. But I honestly think that it's not. I thought it was talking about wives more so than a woman that's a deacon. You know what I mean? But women that does work amongst the congregation, under the authority of a male, should still be conducting themselves in a certain light as well. So, like if you look at Romans 16, it's talking about her being a servant and hosting, those believers.
Right here for the definition, it says to minister to one rendering ministering offices, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this is like the first one. But then it says another one is to wait at a table and offer food, drinks to the guests, of women preparing food, to supply food and necessities of life. So, you know what I'm saying?
Mm.
Let's talk about her being a deacon, like pretty much like how we got it here.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
We got women who,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But in that Timothy 3, it's more so of a different authority
Yeah.
than that.
Yeah. And see, if you, depending on which translation you look at, see in this particular translation, it says deacon, but then in the KJV, it's not even saying deacon. It's saying wives of the deacon. of the male deacon. So their wives should conduct themselves in a certain way, just like their husband. That's the deacon. So I just, like I say, I pointed it out. I didn't know if it would matter to some. Some people is reading different translations. Make it clear. Well, that's why I did say that. But I said that's just in case those that's dealing with different translations see that. So, all right, back to it. Acts 18:1.
You read that one.
Oh,
Read it again.
Oh no. Oh yeah. Read it again, because he had
No, we actually did. Acts 18:1. After these things, Paul departed from Athens and came to Corinth, and found a certain Jew named Aquila, born in Pontus, lately come from Italy with his wife Priscilla, because that Claudius had commanded all Jews to depart from Rome, and came unto them.
Right. So now we're talking about Aquila and Priscilla. Right. They departed from Rome because they was kicked out. All right, go down to verse 24.
And a certain Jew named Apollos, born of at Alexandria, an eloquent man and mighty in the scriptures, came to Ephesus. This man was instructed in the way of the master, and being fervent in the Ruach, he spake and taught diligently the things of the master, knowing only the baptism of John.
Right. So now he was mighty in the scriptures. He was a believer already. Right. So let's see what Aquila and Priscilla do. Go ahead.
And he began to speak boldly in the synagogue, whom when Aquila and Priscilla had heard, they took him unto them, and expounded unto him the way of Elohim more perfectly.
Look at that. So Aquila and Priscilla, right? This couple expounded to Apollos, who was already a believer, already mighty in the scriptures, Mashiach in a more perfect way, right? Showing you that the man that did the expounding, his wife also was mighty in the scriptures, just like he was. Aquila was mighty in the scriptures, as well as his wife, because they both expounded to Apollos in a more perfect way. And it shows you that our sisters have to be at a certain level in order to do this as well, in order to walk this walk, in order to for us to dwell together. When you're talking about a virtuous couple, you're talking about both of them in the mind state, both of them renewed in the mind, both of them apt to teach. All right, whenever that time come, very important. Go to 1 Corinthians 11 and verse 8. Our chat good, bro?
Yeah, it was like buffering for a minute.
Okay. Yeah, I try to keep my eye on that chat and stuff like that too, because it'll kind of like that screen, the YouTube studio screen, a mess up sometime too. So, all right, go ahead.
1 Corinthians 11 and 8. For the man is not of the woman, but the woman is of the man. Neither was the man created for the woman, but the woman for the man.
Right. So, for the man is not of the woman, but the woman of the man. Neither was the man created for the woman, but the woman for the man. Genesis 2, and as a matter of fact, Genesis 1 and 26. So when we see that, when we think about creation, think about how we got to think about how when the Most High created mankind, he created the man first, gave the man authority, and the man started to do his work. But the Most High did not see that mankind as a whole was complete until he gave him a helpmeet, right? So Genesis 1 and 26.
Genesis 1.
Go ahead.
26. And Elohim said, let us make man in our image, after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowls of the Shamaim, and over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth. So Elohim created man in his own image. In the image of Elohim created he him. Male and female created he them.
And read, yeah.
And Elohim blessed them. And Elohim said unto them, Be fruitful and multiply, and replenish the earth, and subdue it, and have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowls of the air, and over every living thing that moveth upon the earth.
Right. So now that's him giving mankind as a whole dominion over the remainder of the earth, right? But let's see, like he created man first. So go to 2 and 15.
Genesis chapter 2 verse 15. And Elohim and Yahuwah Elohim took the man and put him into the garden of Eden to dress it and to keep it.
Slide down to 18.
Verse 18. And Yahuwah Elohim said, It is not good that man should be alone.
So the Most High himself deemed that man should not be alone. He himself deemed that man shouldn't be alone, right? We're talking about Adam, the man, not mankind, but man, right? As in the first man to walk the earth, right? Read.
And Yahuwah Elohim said, It is not good that man should be alone. I will make him an helpmeet for him. And out of the ground Yahuwah Elohim formed every beast of the field, every fowl of the air, and brought them unto Adam to see what he would call them. And whatsoever Adam called every living creature, that was the name thereof.
So Adam is working at this point on his own in the garden, naming the beasts of the field, right? Go ahead.
And Adam gave names to all the cattle, and to the fowl of the air, and to every beast of the field. But for Adam there was not found an helpmeet for him.
Right, so he still was alone doing these things, right? Go ahead.
And Yahuwah Elohim caused a deep sleep to fall upon Adam, and he slept, and he took one of his ribs, and closed up the flesh instead thereof. And the rib which Yahuwah Elohim had taken from man made he a woman, and brought her unto the man. And Adam said,
Right, so now the woman is created now. He brought the woman to Adam. All right, this is after he had already gave Adam authority. Adam was naming the animals of the field. Then the Most High caused him to go into a deep sleep because he felt like mankind as a whole was not completed. And he pulled the woman up out of Adam, right? Read.
And Yahuwah Elohim, wait a minute.
And Adam,
And
verse
Adam,
20, yeah.
verse 23. And Adam said, This is now bone of my bones, flesh of my flesh. She shall be called woman, because she was taken out from man.
Right, she shall be called woman because she was taken out from man. So think about that. So when it says in 1 Corinthians 11:8, the man was not made for the woman, but the woman for the man, is showing you here that the woman was made for the man. And the Most High felt that the woman was necessary to complete mankind as a whole. All right. So when I like to point that out just to show that there is an importance for our sisters. All right. There is an importance for our sisters, but often in society, our sisters get boosted up over the man as if the man is little to no value at all. And that's the part that needs to stop. Like, of course, our sisters is important, but without the man, the whole reason of your existence is because the Most High felt that mankind wasn't complete, and he made you for the sake of aiding the man. All right, and that's not belittling our sisters either. I just want to make that clear. But that is the purpose of it, of the creation of the woman. Okay. Go to Genesis 16. Genesis 16.
verse.
Start at verse 1. Start at verse 1.
Genesis chapter 16 and verse 1. Now Sarai, Abram's wife, bare him no children, and she had an handmaid, an Egyptian, whose name was Hagar. And Sarai said unto Abram, Behold now, Yahuwah hath restrained me from bearing. I pray thee, go in unto my maid. It may be that I may obtain children by her. And Abram listened to the voice of Sarai.
Now look at that. So he listened to the voice of Sarai. Now, she did this in haste, thinking that she would never bear children. All right. Not having confidence that she'll bring forth children, she gave Hagar to Abraham. All right. And let's see how this thing stirs up her spirit, because this really does a number to Sarah. Keep reading.
Verse 3. And Sarai, Abram's wife, took Hagar, her maid, the Egyptian, after Abram had dwelt 10 years in the land of Canaan, and gave her to her husband Abram to be his wife. And he went in unto Hagar, and she conceived. And when she saw that she had conceived, her mistress was despised in her eyes.
So now Hagar got prideful. Hagar got prideful. I have a child, you don't. And probably thinking that her position in the house is more valued than Sarah at this point, because she was able to bring forth a child. Go ahead and read.
And Sarai said unto Abram, My wrong be upon you. I have given my maid into your bosom. And when she saw that she had conceived, I was despised in her eyes. Yahuwah judged between me and you. But Abram said unto Sarai, Behold, thy maid is in thy hand. Do to her as it please of you. And when Sarai dealt hardly with her, she fled from her face.
So now Sarai, this thing really did a number to Sarai, to the point where, and rightfully so, rightfully so, Hagar became prideful. But when she became prideful once she had Ishmael. So when you look at that, you look at how Sarai, she made a move hastily and not trusting in Yahuwah to allow her to bring forth children. She did that. She made that move hastily, and it really did a number to her spirit. All right, just showing you why we shouldn't make hasty decisions. Now, she's going to end up bearing a child, and when she bears a child, something is going to happen, and Yahuwah is going to have to step in. So let's go to that. Genesis 21 and verse 1. Yeah.
21 and 1.
Yep.
Genesis chapter 21 and verse 1. And Yahuwah visited Sarah, and he said, and Yahuwah did for Sarah as he had spoken. For Sarah conceived and bore Abram a son, and his old age, at the set time of which the Elohim had spoken to him.
Now Sarah is bringing forth a child, right? She's bringing forth a child in their old age. All right, go ahead and read.
And Abraham called the name of his son who was born to him, whom Sarah bore to him, Isaac. Then Abraham circumcised his son Isaac when he was 8 days old, as Elohim had commanded him. Now Abraham was 100 years old when his son Isaac was born to him. And Sarah said, Elohim has made me laugh, so that all who hear will laugh with me. She also said, who would have said to Abraham that Sarah would nurse children? For I have borne him a son in his old age. So the child grew and was weaned. And Abraham made a great feast on the same day that Isaac was weaned. And Sarah saw the son of Hagar the Egyptian, whom she had borne to Abraham, scoffing.
Right. So now look at this part. This is important. So Sarah, now that she got her own son, she is just like a mother is supposed to, protecting her son by watching his every move. And she notices that Ishmael is mocking Isaac in some type of way. All right. So read and let's see what she do.
Therefore she said to Abraham, cast out the bondwoman and her son, for the son of this bondwoman shall not be heir with my son, namely with Isaac. And the matter was very displeasing in Abraham's sight because of his son.
Right. So now Abraham is caught between a rock and a hard place. Ishmael is his son, probably in his mind his firstborn, due to the fact that it came out of him. Like, even though the Most High see different, but this thing came out of him, right? And after him not being able to bore children, he finally have his first son, which is Ishmael. In his eyes, his first son. The Most High see different though, right? So let's see. Now, she's can be also speaking from an emotional state, right? So this thing, she made a hasty move, number one, in allowing him to sleep with Hagar in the first place, right? So when she do that, she see her servant becoming prideful, she now want to throw her servant out the house, all right? And she's feeling a certain type of way toward her servant when she shouldn't have made Abraham or allow Abraham to sleep with her in the first place. She should have just waited. Now we get here, the true firstborn is here, her son and Abraham's son, and she now sees the Ishmael mocking. So now she want to throw them out the house again, right? So now let's see how the Most High step in, because Abraham is not moving off of his wife's word. All right, notice the thing is grievous. He haven't moved yet. It's going to take for the Most High to intervene. Go ahead.
And the matter was very displeasing in Abraham's sight because of his son. But Elohim said to Abraham, do not let it be displeasing in your sight because of the lad or because of your bondwoman. Whatever Sarah has said to you, listen to her voice. For in Isaac your seed shall be called.
Just look at that. So in Isaac shall your seed be called. And he's telling him to listen to your wife Sarah's voice, right? So now, of course, Abraham is going to do this because of Yahuwah's intervention. Like, he's intervening and telling him, like, you know, Isaac is the one that I'm choosing. Listen to your wife, all right? So he didn't just move off her emotion, all right? And then, so I go here to point out how if a woman wants something done, now, though she didn't necessarily go to the Most High, it takes for the Most High to intervene in our hearts as the head of the house sometime, because sometime we're going to clash. You're going to be speaking from an emotional state. A man may get emotional as well, and with us being the head of the house, we can also be prideful, just like our women can be prideful, and it's going to be a bad thing. But in order for you to get through to us, the conduct it's not going to be through you yelling and shouting, because we're not going to receive it that way. All right. As a matter of fact, we'll get prideful and get on the defensive side, and we'll just tune you out and not listen to you. You know what I mean? We're the head of the house. So, you know, we might flex our authority in that way. In order for you to get to us, prayer must happen. You must talk to the Most High first. All right. If we're not getting it, talk to the Most High, develop some patience, and the Most High will speak to us in order to make the move that's necessary. And that's if it's the right move, though. In this particular situation, what Sarah was saying was in line with what the Most High was thinking, that Isaac, your seed is going to be called. So he brought more understanding than Sarah. She just was speaking from an emotional state. So he told her to listen to your wife in this particular case. All right, let's go somewhere else. So let's talk about the man's authority. All right, let's talk about the man's authority. All right, because again, I mentioned earlier how the man is undermined in this world. Well, let me say this society. In this society here in America and many others like it, the man is undermined here. All right, but let's look at some history. Let's go through a few examples of how the man had great authority in the household over his family, even when they was adults. All right, let's talk about Isaac. Genesis 48 and verse 3. Genesis chapter 48 and verse 3.
Book of Genesis, chapter 48, and verse 3. Then Jacob said to Joseph, Elohim Almighty appeared to me at Luz in the land of Canaan, and increased me, and said to me, Behold, I will make you fruitful and multiply you, and I will make of you a multitude of people, and give this land to your descendants after you, as an everlasting possession. And now your two sons, Ephraim and Manasseh, who were born to you in the land of Egypt, before I came to you in Egypt, are mine. As Reuben and Simeon, they shall be mine.
Now wait a minute. How can Jacob just adopt Joseph's children like that? All right, he said, read that last part again.
And now your two sons, Ephraim and Manasseh, who were born to you in the land of Egypt, before I came to you in Egypt, are mine. As Reuben and Simeon, they shall be mine.
Now, though this is not a bad thing at all, knowing who Israel is, but the point of me going here is to show you the man's authority. This man is the authority over Joseph. Now, Joseph at this time is second to Pharaoh in Egypt. He's done many works, even to helping to preserve through a famine, Egypt through a famine. And now here come his father, who wasn't really living too well in the land of Canaan. As a matter of fact, going through a famine himself, to the point where he had to send his children down to Egypt to get food. And now Israel can just intervene and say, no, these two are mine. Now, how can a man do that? It's because the authority that the Most High had given man at that time, it wasn't questioned, right? It wasn't, that wasn't a thing that was of question. A man had his authority, his respect in the house. And you got to understand, Joseph is a grown man, right? Ruling second to Pharaoh. Slide down to 14.
Then Israel stretched out his right hand and laid it on Ephraim's head, who was the younger, and left hand on Manasseh's head, guiding his hands knowingly, for Manasseh was the firstborn. And he increased Joseph and said, Increased, bless the lads, let my name be named upon them, and the name of my fathers, Abraham and Isaac, and let them grow into a multitude in the midst of the earth. And now Joseph saw that his father laid his right hand on the head of Ephraim.
Did you skip down? Did you read verse 15?
Oh man, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And he increased Joseph and said, oh, that's the way this thing written on here.
Okay.
My bad. Yep. Verse 15. And he increased Joseph and said, Elohim, before whom my fathers, Abraham and Isaac, walked, the Elohim who has fed me all my life long to this day, the messenger who has redeemed me from all evil, increase the lads, let my name be named upon them, and the name of my fathers, Abraham and Isaac, and let them grow into a multitude in the midst of the earth.
So now he's doing it still, blessing them still, right? He's blessing these two as his own children, saying, let my name be named upon them. Let my name, talking about Israel. So these, Ephraim and Manasseh, is blessed and named amongst the children of Israel, all right? Not the children of Joseph. These is his children. And, again, I just want to point that out, because how can a man have so much authority? Thinking about back then versus today, the woman is propped up as the head of the house and stuff like that. Like, it's a little weird, right? Keep reading.
Now when Joseph saw that his father laid his right hand on the head of Ephraim, it displeased him. So he took hold of his father's hand to remove it from Ephraim's head to Manasseh's head. And Joseph said to his father, Not so, my father, for this one is the firstborn. Put your right hand on his head. But his father refused and said, I know, my son, I know. He also shall become a people, and he also shall be great. But truly, his younger brother shall be greater than he, and his descendants shall become a multitude of nations.
Now look at that. So he's still doing things. He's still doing things that is abnormal. Like he already accepted Ephraim and Manasseh into his lineage, and now after that he choose the younger Ephraim over Manasseh. Right? It's showing you that that Israel or Jacob had ultimate authority over his house, as did all men at that time have authority over their house. Right?
My guy.
Very important. Very important. Right? So that's one aspect. Let's go to Genesis 9 and 20. Genesis chapter 9, verse 20.
Everything is good? Everything is good?
Genesis chapter 9, verse 20.
Genesis chapter 9 at verse 20. And Noah began to be a farmer, and he planted a vineyard. Then he drank of the wine and was drunk, and became uncovered in his tent. And Ham, the father of Canaan, saw the nakedness of his father, and told his two brothers outside. But Shem and Japheth took a garment, and laid it on both their shoulders, and went backwards, and covered the nakedness of their father. Their faces were turned away, and they did not see their father's nakedness. So Noah awoke from his wine, and he knew what his younger son had done to him.
Man, this real pressing, man. Need to say a prayer for Yeshaya and them little cousin in like a dire type of situation in the hospital, so y'all can let that be known.
Okay. Can we as a matter of fact, do y'all want to pause and
We can do that now.
yeah, real quick, we're going to pause and pray for our brother. We just got some news that our brother Yeshaya his little cousin is in the hospital on real dire situation. All right, so we're going to go ahead and pray for them real quick, okay?
Go ahead.
Y'all know his name? Timmy. All right. Father Yah, we just want to come before you, and we ask that on behalf of our brother Yeshaya and his family and his young cousin Timmy, who is in a critical situation with his health, we ask that you bring forth peace to the family, and if it be within your will, Father, bring forth healing to young Timmy, Father, and whatever he's going through, and make him whole, Father. We ask that you just continue to bring peace to the family, Father, as they go through this dark season, Father. In the name of our Master Yahushua HaMashiach, so be it.
So be it.
All right. Where were we at? We were at, we was at number Genesis 9 and 24.
Verse 24. So Noah awoke from his wine and knew what his younger son had done to him.
So now look, Ham went into his father's tent, right? And saw his nakedness, and then he went back and told Shem and Japheth, and they took a garment and walked backwards and laid it on their father, right? So once Noah woke up, Now let's see what happens to Ham. Go ahead.
Verse 25. Then he said, Cursed be Canaan, a servant of servants he shall be to his brethren.
Right. So now Noah wakes up and curses Canaan. Right. He curses Canaan. Now, how could he do that? How could he curse Canaan and later on Canaan actually be a cursed seed and be an enemy of the Most High? How could this happen if Noah did not have, or if the Most High didn't grant Noah this authority? All right. So Noah was granted certain levels of authority, as every man was that was the head of their house. Right. He cursed Canaan, who was his grandson, not his son. He didn't curse Ham. He cursed Canaan, who was his grandson. But he could have very well cursed Ham as well. Remember, Israel, once Reuben laid with Bilhah, cursed him. Right? So it's showing you another way that Israel had authority over his house. So I'm just showing you the authority that the man had at this time. Right? Let's get some more. 1 Chronicles 2:34. 1 Chronicles 2 and verse 34. Up there, not too far. Yeah.
First Chronicles chapter 2 and verse 34. Now Sheshan had no sons, only daughters. And Sheshan had an Egyptian servant whose name was Yarha.
2 and verse 34. Go ahead.
Sheshan gave his daughter to Yarha, his servant, as wife. And she bore him a tie.
Right, so now look at that. So Sheshan had no sons but daughters. He had an Egyptian servant that he gave his daughter to wife, right? And they had a son, and she bare him a son named Attai, right? Go ahead and read.
Attai begot Nathan. Nathan begot Zabad.
Now, if you read this chapter, you notice that it's naming descendants of the children of Israel. So how can this Egyptian servant have a child by an Israelite woman and those children that they have still be considered Israelites? Well, it's because Sheshan is the head of his house. And in this particular case, there's laws even pertaining to Israelite having a foreigner as a servant and him claiming his children as his own. Let's go visit that. Leviticus 25. Leviticus 25, verse 44.
Leviticus chapter 25 and verse 44. And as for your male and female servants, whom you may have, from the nations that are around you, from them you may buy male and female servants. Moreover, you may buy the children of the strangers who sojourn among you, and their families who are with you, which they beget in your land, and they shall become your property. And you may take them as an inheritance for your children after you.
Leviticus 25 and verse 44 through 46.
And you may take them as an inheritance for your children after you, to inherit them as a possession. They shall be your permanent servants. But regarding your brethren, the children of Israel, you shall not rule over one another with rigor.
Right. So you can take their children and have them in your possessions. And that's what was going on with Sheshan. He gave his daughter to Jarha, and the children that they had, the union they made and the children that they had belonged to him. All right, Sheshan, because he had authority over his house. Right? So I just want to show those things. Now, here's one more thing. Numbers 30. Numbers 30 and verse 3. Just want to show the importance of the man in the house. Numbers 30 and verse 3. even if he's not in the house, because think about Joseph and Jacob. Jacob had authority over Joseph, even though they was not in the same house, but he still was alive. Therefore, he had authority to adopt Ephraim and Manasseh. Okay. Numbers 30 and verse 3.
Numbers 30 and 3. Or if a woman vows a vow to Yahuwah and binds herself by some agreement while in her father's house in her youth, and her father hears her vow and the agreement by which she has bound herself, and her father holds his peace, then all her vows shall stand, and every agreement which she has bound herself shall stand.
Now, why is it determined by the father? All right, y'all see that? If the father keeps his peace, why is it that she just cannot, this young woman cannot bind her soul, right? I mean, cannot just make a vow and it be all right. If the father keeps his peace, read. Let's see what happens if the father disagrees. Go ahead.
But if her father overrules her on the day that he hears, then none of her vows nor her agreements by which she has bound herself shall stand. And Yahuwah will forgive her, because her father has overruled her.
Right, so because her father has overruled her, Yahuwah will forgive her, right? Showing you the authority of the man in the house. Read. It's the father. Now let's see about the husband. Go ahead.
But if indeed she takes a husband while bound by her vows, or by a rash utterance from her lips by which she bound herself, and her husband hears it, and makes no response to her on the day that he hears, then her vows shall stand, and her agreements by which she bound herself shall stand. But if her husband overrules her on the day that he hears it, he shall make void her vow which she vowed, and what she uttered with her lips, by which she bound herself, and Yahuwah will forgive her.
Right, so now, if that woman has a husband and she makes a vow, and he is okay with it, then it'll go through. She'll be bound by that vow. But if he decides not to allow it, then Yahuwah is going to forgive her, and the vow will not stand. Right? Where was you at?
I'm going into verse 9.
Oh, okay. No, that's it. Yeah. So that's it. Go to 1 Samuel 1 and verse 1. 1 Samuel 1 and verse 1. So just showing you that the man had authority in his house at this time. Why is that not valued today? All right, so I don't know. You know what I mean? I don't know what type of agenda they got going on, but the man is not valued in the house today. All right, I'm mainly talking about the ones that's making a serious effort. Even some that's in the world that's making a serious effort to be in the house, it seems like the woman has far more authority than the man. All right, but if we men of valor, virtuous women, we understand the true order. And with that being said, with us coming out the world, we need to get back to this order right here. And not so that a man can just straight control you, but it's because of how the Most High set the order in the first place. Right? Go to 1 Samuel 1 and verse 1.
1 Samuel 1 and 1. Now there was a certain man of Ramathaim, Zophim, of the mountain of Ephraim, and his name was Elkanah, the son of Jeroham, the son of Eliud, the son of Tohu, the son of Zuph, an Ephraimite. And he had 2 wives. The name of the one was Hannah, the name of the other Peninnah. And Peninnah had children, but Hannah had no children.
All right, so Elkanah has 2 wives, Peninnah, which had children, and Hannah, which was barren. Go ahead and read.
This man went up from his city yearly to worship and sacrifice to Yahuwah of hosts in Shiloh. Also the 2 sons of Eli, Hophni, Phinehas, the priest, How you say that?
Hophni, yeah.
Hophni and Phinehas, the priests of Yahuwah, were there. And whenever the time came for Elkanah to make an offering, he would give portions to Peninnah, his wife, and to all her sons and daughters. But Hannah, he would give a double portion, for he loved Hannah, although Yahuwah had closed her womb.
So he loved Hannah, although Yahuwah had closed her womb. Now, think about that. Like in a situation where we're talking about a man of valor, a virtuous woman. A man of valor is going to aid. If in a situation like this, Elkanah is still comforting his woman and giving her a big portion to go, because out of him being sympathetic for her, he's giving her a big portion to go and offer to Yahuwah. All right. So he is still comforting her in a way that, you know, she can still push through. She's sad about not having children. All right. Something that a righteous woman would desire. All right. A righteous woman would desire having children if she's married. And, you know, not to mention her and Peninnah is at odds. So Peninnah is making her feel a certain way because she has sons and daughters and she can't have none. All right. Go ahead and read.
And her rival also provoked her severely to make her miserable, because Yahuwah had closed her womb. So it was, year by year, when she went up to the house of Yahuwah, that she provoked her. Therefore she wept and did not eat.
Right, so they was getting into it, Peninnah and Hannah. All right, go ahead.
Then Elkanah, her husband, said to her, Hannah, why do you weep? Why do you not eat? Why is your heart grieved? Am I not better to you than 10 sons?
Look at that. So he know why she's in grief, because she can't have no children, and he is still comforting her. And he says, am I not better to you than 10 sons? You know, trying to boost her spirit, right? Let's see what Hannah does, though. Yahuwah's going to bless her, but it's going to take for her to do something in order for that blessing to come. Go ahead.
So Hannah arose after they had finished eating and drinking in Shiloh. Now Eli, whichever one, the priest was sitting on the seat by the door of the tabernacle of Yahuwah. And she was in bitterness of soul, and she prayed to Yahuwah and wept in anguish. Then she made a vow and said, O Yahuwah of hosts, if you will indeed look on the affliction of your maidservant, and remember me, and not forget your maidservant, but will give your maidservant a male child, then I will give him to Yahuwah all the days of his life, and no razor shall come upon his head.
Now look at that. So when she's making a vow now, she's making a vow out of desperation, but in this particular case, you see the vow that she's making, and when you know the story of Samuel, that Samuel would do many good works. So it's really not that bad, but it's kind of out of desperation that she's making the vow because she wants to have a child so bad, right? Go ahead and read.
And it happened, as she continued praying before Yahuwah, that Eli watched her mouth. Now Hannah spoke in her heart, only her lips moved, but her voice was not heard. Therefore Eli thought she was drunk. So Eli said to her, how long will you be drunk? Put your wine away from you. And Hannah answered and said, no, my master. I am a woman of a sorrowful ruach. I have drunk neither wine nor intoxicating drink. Like wine can't be intoxicating. But have poured out my soul before Yahuwah. Do not consider your maidservant a wicked woman, for out of the abundance of my complaint and grief I have spoken until now. Then Eli answered and said, go in peace, and Elohim of Israel grant your petition which you have asked of him.
Go to verse 20.
Verse 20. So it came to pass in the process of time that Hannah conceived and bare a son, and called his name Samuel, saying, because I have asked for him from Yahuwah.
Right. So now there's a couple things. Elkanah did not stop her vow. All right. He did not stop her vow, and they end up having a child, and she named him pretty much after the cause, which was, she had received a child from Yahuwah, right? So just showing you that in a situation where we are men of valor and we have a woman that's really going through it, a man of valor is not, like I pointed out in my lesson, the mighty man of valor. A man of valor is not always about war, but he's three-dimensional. All right, he has multiple dimensions to him. He's a man of war. He's going to be comforting his wife and making sure his house is in order. All right, and he's going to do all the things that's pertaining to Yahuwah in his will. Go to Ruth 2:1.
Ruth, chapter 2, verse 1.
Yep.
And Naomi had a kinsman of her husband's, a man of great wealth of the family of Elimelech. His name was Boaz. So Ruth, the Moabitess, said to Naomi, please let me go to the field.
So now it says that Boaz was a mighty man of wealth. He was a mighty man of wealth, but he had more attributes than him just being a man of wealth, right? Boaz is a righteous man overall, and we're gonna see how he is actually a righteous man. Go ahead and read.
So Ruth, the Moabitess, said to Naomi, please let me go to the field and glean the heads of grain after him in whose sight I may find favor. And she said to her, go, my daughter. Then she left and went and gleaned in the field after the reapers. And she happened to come to the part of the field belonging to Boaz, who was of the family of Elimelech. Now behold, Boaz came from Bethlehem and said to the reapers, Yahuwah be with you. And they answered him, Yahuwah increase you. Then Boaz said to his servant who was in charge of the reapers, whose young woman is this? So the servant who was in the charge of the reapers answered and said, it is the young Moabite woman who came back with Naomi from the country of Moab. And she said, please let me glean and gather after the reapers among the sheaves. So she came and has continued from morning until now, though she rested a little in the house. Then Boaz said to Ruth, you will listen, my daughter, will you not? Do not go to glean in another field, nor go from here, but stay close by my young women. Let your eyes be on the field which they reap, and go after them. Have I not commanded the young men not to touch you? And when you are thirsty, go to the vessels and drink from what the young men have drawn.
Now look at that. So Boaz is he see that she's a stranger. She came back with Ruth. She asked him if she can glean in his yard, and he just granted her favor. Now, why is Boaz doing this? All right, so let's examine that. This is going to show what type of man Boaz is. So go to Deuteronomy 10 and verse 18. This is before they get married. This is before he take her on as a wife. Deuteronomy 10 and verse 18. He already had these attributes, and he's already looking to do for her who's a stranger and who's poor and many others, because he's allowing not only her to glean in his vineyard, but he's allowing others to glean as well. 10 and verse 18.
Deuteronomy chapter 10, verse 18. He administers justice for the fatherless and the widow, and loves the stranger, giving him food and clothing. Therefore love the stranger, for you were strangers in the land of Egypt.
Right, so you were strangers. The Most High instructs us to love the strangers because you were strangers in the land of Egypt, right? Go to Leviticus 19 and verse 9. Leviticus 19 and verse 9.
Leviticus chapter 19 and verse 9. When you reap the harvest of your land, you shall not wholly reap the corners of your field, nor shall you gather the gleanings of your harvest. And you shall not glean your vineyards, nor shall you gather every grape of your vineyard. You shall leave them for the poor and the stranger. I am Yahuwah, your Elohim.
Look at that. So you should leave them for the poor and the stranger. I am Yahuwah, your Elohim. So just like Yahuwah takes care of the poor, the fatherless, and the stranger, he wants us to do the same. That's men of wealth. Even if we're not necessarily men of wealth, but we're doing good for ourselves, it's good to take care of the stranger. And in this case, Boaz has just blessed her in allowing her to not only glean, but to also get water out of the pitchers when she's thirsty, right? So showing you what type of man he was already before he encountered Ruth. Go to Ruth. No, she's not a natural Israelite. No. And I'm going to tell y'all, any of y'all brothers that's out there teaching that is wicked as hell, because I did see some of y'all teaching that out there, and I'm not going to say no names either. She ain't no Israelite. You know how I know she ain't an Israelite? As a matter of fact, go to Ruth 2 and verse 10. As a matter of fact, we already going to it. Ruth 2 and 10.
Smoke man, yeah, that's me.
Ruth 2 and verse 10. This is going to show you.
Ruth chapter 2 and verse 10. Then she fell on her face, bowed down to the ground, and said to him, why have I found favor in your eyes, that you should take notice of me, since I am a foreigner? And Boaz answered and said to her, it's been fully reported to me, all that you have done for your mother-in-law since the death of your husband, and how you have left your father and your mother and the land of your birth, and have come to a people whom you did not know before.
So now right there, all right, we're going to kill two birds with one stone. It's showing you what type of woman Ruth is, though she is not an Israelite. All right, this woman is a pure foreigner from Moab, right? And it says she left the land of her nativity and art come unto a people which thou knewest not heretofore. All right, so she did not know that much. She didn't know about the children of Israel before. I'm quite sure they heard the stories, but she don't know these people. She don't know their laws. She wasn't brought up in their laws, right? So as a matter of fact, when you read the beginning of this story, you see what type of woman she is by the fact that she actually want to follow Naomi back and serve the God that she serves. So it shows you what type of woman that Ruth is right there, though she is not Israelite. Okay.
Hey, let's revisit something real quick.
Go ahead.
In verse 8.
Yep.
It's actually 8 and 9.
Mm-hmm.
Now just consider this, sisters, and see where you would actually put yourself at with this. What Boaz said. Read verse 8 up.
Verse 8. Then said Boaz unto Ruth.
Now, this is him after him receiving the report of Ruth from one of his servants, right? So, hey, she came, she, gleaning the grapes, blah, 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 blah.
Mm-hmm.
What did he say to Ruth?
Hearest thou not, my daughter?
You listening? You gonna listen? Read.
Go not to glean in another field.
He said what?
Go not to glean in another field.
He gives her instruction. Now, she don't know him. Not like that, right? A sister in this position, what would you do? This man that you don't know telling you what to do. This is understanding authority at this time. You know what I'm saying? Go ahead. What else he said?
Go not to glean in another field, neither go from hence,
But do what?
but abide here fast by my maidens.
Mm-hmm.
Let thine eyes be on the field that they do reap, and go thou after them. Have I not charged the young men that they shall not touch thee?
So he's already showing some type of protection for her, right? So a lot of times we see, in Israel, where people talk about people, women having a covering, right? So she left her father and her mother, you know what I'm saying? She done left her people. She amongst these people now. In order for you to have a successful covering type of relationship, you have to listen. You gotta listen. The man said, don't go to no other spots. Stay over here by my young maidens. Why do you think that he said that? And then right after that, he said, I told the young men over here not to touch you. Why do you think he told her not to be jumping from vineyard to glean from? It was going to be people that was going to try to get at her. And that was going to try to tell you, look, stay over here by my young women. They'll keep you over here, keep you together. And I told these young men around here, don't touch you. But a lot of times, y'all don't listen. Not y'all that's watching this, because y'all listen. But other women, you know what I'm saying? But just putting yourself in the mindset of being subject to a man does not have to mean that he is ruling over you with rigor, but he's actually trying to protect you. But that's all. Go ahead.
That's good. Because a man of valor does protect, right? Yep. Verse, we read, we slide down to verse 15.
Verse 15. And when she rose up to glean, Boaz commanded his young men, saying, let her glean even among the sheaves, and do not reproach her. Also, let some grain from the bundles fall purposely for her. Leave it, that she may glean, and do not rebuke her.
Right. So now look at that. So now he's throwing a little extra something down there for this Gentile, Ruth. All right, because he's sympathetic toward her, even liking her. Right. Go to Ruth 3 and verse 7.
Ruth chapter 3 and verse 7. And after Boaz had eaten and drunk, and his heart was cheerful, he went to lie down at the end of the heap of grain, and she came softly, uncovered his feet, and laid down. Look at her, she fast.
So Boaz gets drunk. All right, after he had eaten and drunken.
His heart is cheerful.
His heart is cheerful.
He's not drunk. He's feeling good.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, well, I'm going to get him today. Everyone had some of that wine.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to get him today. Now it happened at, verse 7. And after Boaz had eaten and drunk, and his heart was cheerful, he went and laid down at the end of the heap of grain. And she came softly, uncovered his feet, and laid down. And now it happened at midnight that the man was startled and turned himself. And there a woman was laying at his feet.
Right.
And he said, who are you? And she said, I'm Ruth, your maidservant. Take your maidservant under your wing, for you are a near kinsman.
Right, so now it's like, so he wakes up startled out of his sleep, and he see Ruth sleep at his feet. And, he asks who she is. I'm Ruth, right? And she's asking him to take on her to be his wife. She's asking, all right? Spread therefore thy skirt over thine handmaid, for thou art a near kinsman, meaning she knows the law, knows their law, because it's not her law. Remember, it wasn't given to nobody but Israel, but she knows their law, and she want this near kinsman to raise up seed to her husband, who his name is Milan, right? Keep reading.
Then he said, blessed are you of Yahuwah, my daughter, for you have shown more kindness at the end than at the beginning, in that you did not go after young men. whether poor or rich. You wasn't just throwing yourself around.
That's what I was going to point out. Now, she wasn't just throwing herself around. She, she came in and she chose him. She just didn't go and just try to get any old husband. She chose a righteous man. Right? Go ahead.
And now, do not fear. I will do for you all that you request. For all the people of my town know that you are a virtuous woman.
So everybody know that she is a virtuous woman. So they know her reputation, which is good. She have a good name as a stranger amongst these people, which, remember what we just read, having a good name is better than riches, right? She have a good name. She's known as a virtuous woman. And of course, he's known through his actions being a mighty man of wealth, but he's also a man of valor or a virtuous man, however you want to look at it, right? All right, so from there.
Hold on, wait. You got to keep reading.
Oh, you want to keep?
He's showing even more virtue when you keep reading.
Okay, go ahead.
Verse 12. He said, "Now it is true that I am your near kinsman. However, there is a kinsman nearer than I."
Right. Yeah.
So that boy could have just took it. Oh yeah, you chose me. Let's get it.
Right.
But he's showing that his responsibility to what the law is saying is more important than him, smashing after he done drunk something.
That's facts. And I purposely left that out because I was just trying to focus on the relationship between them two. But that is very important. Like him focusing on doing what's right more than him servicing his flesh. Further showing that he is a man of valor. Okay, that is very important. I shouldn't have left that out. Sorry.
No,
yeah. 1 Samuel 25 and verse 14. 1 Samuel 25 and verse 14.
First Samuel 25:14. Now one of the young men told Abigail, Nabal's wife, saying, "Look, David sent messengers from the wilderness to greet our master, and he reviled them."
Right. So now, at this point, David is on the run from Saul. He's at one point in time he was looking after Nabal's people, his servants. But then when he asked Nabal for some resources, Nabal, responded to him in a crazy manner, and so now it put them at odds. And David is ready. David and his men is ready to go up and destroy Nabal's whole house. So let's see what happened. Go ahead and read.
But the men were very good to us, and we were not hurt, nor did we miss anything as long as we accompanied them when we were in the fields. They were a wall to us both by night and day, all the time we were with them, keeping the sheep. Now therefore, know and consider what you will do, for harm is determined against our master and against all his household, for he is such a it say scoundrel in here, y'all.
Son of Belial.
Your son of Belial.
Son of Belial, that one cannot speak to him.
Right. So he's a prideful man. Now, if you can't speak to him, it's meaning that he is not willing to listen to you when you speak. All right. You know them type that when you try to reason with them, they don't want to listen. They always cutting you off. Whatever comes with his attitude, that's what he is. He's a son of Belial, and he's not willing to reason. Right. Go ahead and read.
Then Abigail made haste and took 200 loaves of bread, 2 skins of wine, 5 sheep already dressed, 5 seahs of roast grain, 100 clusters of raisins, 200 cakes of figs, and loaded them on donkeys. And she said to her servants, "Go on before me. See, I'm coming after you." But she did not tell her husband Nabal.
Right. So because his name is literally folly, and this is his mentality. He's a man of folly. In order to save the household, Abigail, what she did is she gathered food to take to David and these men. Now you got to understand. Now David is known at this point amongst Israel because of the wars he had and the different battles he had been in for Saul before they had their big falling out. And so Saul was sending him to go to war. He was behaving himself wisely, and he built a reputation, and people loved him. So she knows who David is, and so now she's taking this food to him to try to stop him from wreaking havoc on the household as a whole, and she's protecting those people that's innocent, which is everybody, because only her husband is the man of folly, right? Read.
So it was, as she rode on the donkey, that she went down under cover. She went down under the hill, and there were David and his men coming down towards her, and she met them. Now David said, surely in vain I have protected all this fellow has in the wilderness, so that nothing was missed of those things that belonged to him. And he repaid me evil for good?
Yeah, so this is on his mind. Like he is now he's questioning why would I do this? Like I protected this man. I was a wall to his servants and all that he had, and this is the thanks I get? Right? Go ahead.
May Elohim do so and more also to the enemies of David, if I leave one male of all who belong to him by the morning light. Let's say that everybody piss on the wall.
Yeah, by the morning light, any that piss against the wall.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So now he's really looking to go and wipe these people out. All right? He's not looking to spare anybody. So Abigail going with this food is a good thing because there's innocent people there. Go ahead and read.
Now when Abigail saw David, she hastened to dismount from the donkey and fell on her face before David and bowed to the ground. So she fell at his feet and said, on me, my master, on me let this iniquity be. And please let your maidservant speak in your ears and hear the word of your maidservant. Please let not my master regard this son of Belial, Nabal, for as his name is, so is he. Nabal is his name, and folly is his game. But I, your maidservant, do not see the young men of my master whom you sent. Now therefore, my master, as you
now look at that. So she's saying, but I, thine handmaid, saw not the young men of my master whom thou did send. So David sent men to get resources, and that's when that's what she's talking about, Nabal turning them away. But she didn't actually see these people. It was Nabal that they saw, and he turned them away. And so now I want y'all to consider how Abigail is playing the role she's playing here. And I talked about this before, but I just thought it was interesting how she played like the intercessor and also like a sacrifice. Like she was saying, look what she's saying.
Verse 24.
Verse 24, yeah.
She fell at his feet and said, on me, my master, on me let this iniquity be. And please let your maidservant speak in your ear and hear the words of your maidservant.
Right, so now she's playing like she's that sacrifice. It's like she's playing that sacrifice role, like how Mashiach was the Lamb of Elohim, right? Well, she's, in so many ways, the Lamb of the house and the ball in order to spare those servants that had nothing to do with his folly. All right, and I want to show something. Go to, we're going to come back to this. Go to Leviticus 3. Go to Leviticus 3 and verse 6.
Leviticus chapter 3 and verse 6. If his offering as a sacrifice of peace offering to Yahuwah is of the flock, whether male or female, he shall offer it without blemish. If he offers a lamb as his offering, he shall offer it before Yahuwah.
All right, see that? So it says, and if his offering for a sacrifice of peace offering unto to Yahuwah be of the flock, male or female, right? So in this case, she's that female lamb or female flock that's being offered to are offered, for the sake of sparing the household, right? She's playing that intercessor role where, and this, I think I talked about this in Shadows of Mashiach, right? Women, where they had certain attributes of the Messiah. And this is one of them. All right. What she's doing, going to spare the household, she's taking food to David so that she can spare, or she can kind of rescind his anger from destroying Nabal's whole house, including her, because he wanted to wipe everything out, right? Go back to 1 Samuel 25. Let me get there.
First Samuel chapter 25 at verse
26.
26.
Yep.
Now therefore, my master, as Yahuwah live and as your soul live, since Yahuwah has held you back from coming to bloodshed and from avenging yourself with your own hand, now then, let your enemies and those who seek harm for my master be as Nabal. And now this present which your maidservant has brought to you, my master, let it be given to the young men who follow my master. Please forgive the trespass of your maidservant, for Yahuwah will certainly make for my master an enduring house, because my master fights the battles of Yahuwah, and evil is not found in you throughout your days.
Right, so she know who he is because of his reputation of going out to war, right? She know who he is, and she decided to bring the food down to him to rescind his anger from destroying Nabal, destroying Nabal's whole household, right? So just showing you that this woman was virtuous. David was a righteous man as well, but he got in his feelings. But it took for somebody like her to come and speak peaceable words to him to get him to calm down, showing herself to be a virtuous woman. That was a good move in order to calm him down. All right. Got a little more. Go to Ephesians 5 and 22. So we talk about dwelling with each other in as a mighty man of valor, as a virtuous woman, right? And we understand that of Yahuwah's order, how he set the man to be the head of the house, right? I want some of y'all, I know we don't have nobody here, no sisters here, but hopefully you sisters can receive this. Like, for some of you sisters that may be at odds with your husband in the household, you have to consider some of the things I was showing you. Like I showed you how the Most High gave man ultimate authority in his house. How Israel, what he did was he, adopted his son's sons, right? He adopted Ephraim and Manasseh. All right. How can a man do that if Yahuwah didn't give us this authority? And that's not to say nothing bad against you all. It's just this is the Most High's authority. But some people don't accept this, even in this very congregation. All right. So you have to ask yourself, if you're at odds with your husband in this, you have to ask yourself, like, and try to correct yourself on this. If you have issues with authority, and your husband being the head, well, it's not him that just said, I'm going to be the head. It's Yahuwah that put him in that seat, right? And again, as men of valor, we cannot be so prideful that we're not willing to listen to our woman. Like in the situation with David, though this wasn't his woman, he could have ignored her. If he wasn't a righteous man, he would have ignored her and just went and destroyed the house. But how she approached him was with gifts and with peaceable words. And now with her doing that, his anger was rescinded. And it kind of reminds you of Moses and how when the Most High wanted to destroy the children of Israel, Moses had to remind him, like, your name, how would that make you look? You know what I mean? If you destroyed his people would speak about that. And so his anger was rescinded. So just to show you that it's about how you go about things. in the household. If you are having issues with getting through to your man, you have to pray about it, because again, that authority is there. You're not going to get through to him by doing your own will. That's going to make him more upset. You're not going to get through to your man by yelling and saying all type of things, whether in public or in private, right? And making him feel a certain way. He's just going to ignore you, or he going to yell back at you and say things that's unprofitable and that's disrespectful to you and all of that. All right. So we have to learn how to dwell together. And I'm talking about in righteousness mainly. All right. And, knowing our role is the key. If we know our role and we know how the Most High want us to operate, I think that'll fix a big part of the issues. Now, Paul already prophesied that it's going to be strife in the flesh. So it's going to be issues that come up. You're not going to get away from them. Everybody's going to have disagreements, but it's how you come through those disagreements, right? Maybe if you having issues in your house, men of valor, virtuous women, start praying together. What is your prayer life like? You know what I mean? Are y'all praying together? Are you praying on your own? I bet you that'll fix a lot of your problems. All right. You need to pray more. You need to fast more together. If you really, really want to fix your issues, there need to be more of a connection. Not going through the motions, just coming to Sabbath class and just to hear the word. The word is going to be here. We're going to drop the word for you, but how much of this are you really, really using? Some of y'all are not really, really using this. Some of y'all are going through the motions and not really using this stuff at all. Some of you are, Sabbath Hebrew Israelites, and then the other 6 days you wicked as hell. All right? Like, that's not good. All right? You have to do this thing 7 days a week. We have a set apart day, which is the Sabbath, true, but make an effort to use the other days to be set apart as well. All right? You have to be set apart from the ways of the world. You can't be lukewarm. All right? Some of y'all is in here on the Sabbath, then y'all going out to bars and clubs on other days. Y'all wicked as hell, man. I'm telling you straight up, man. Y'all are not really about this life. I'm talking to y'all sisters and brothers, man. The reason some of y'all struggling is because y'all wicked as hell, bro. And you want to talk about head of the house? You ain't no head of the house. And that's straight up and down. You got to get yourself together so your old lady can get herself together. So you can get her together through that way, through being an example. All right. Again, you're going to have struggles in the household. And I'm not coming down on you like I don't have issues. We all have issues, but it's about how you deal with them. Get some of the world out of your life. All right. You got too much of the world in your life, man. All right. Set apart is the key. All right. We have to have a renewed mind state and then stay there in that renewed mind. Put on the mind of Hamashiach. All right. Let's get some more of this. Ephesians 5:22.
Smoke man. Yeah, that's me.
I'm just a brother, man.
Minister Smoke. That's what he is.
I'm just a brother, man.
Ephesians 5:22. Wives, submit to your own husbands as to Yahuwah. For the husband is the head of the wife, and also Mashiach is the head of the congregation, and he is the savior of the body.
Right, so what they're doing is they're making a comparison between a man and a husband and wife and Mashiach and the congregation or the church, all right? Same type of parallel, all right? Let's see what it say about them. Go ahead.
Therefore, just as the congregation is subject to Mashiach, so let the wives be subject to their own husbands in everything.
Right, so just as the congregation is subject to Mashiach, which we are, when we put on his yoke, we're subject to him in all things. So the things he taught us, we must internalize them and practice these things. And he's our master. He's our intercessor. As a matter of fact, there's no entry into the kingdom unless we believe on him. And he died for us to have a way into this kingdom, right? He taught us how to serve, how to be servants to the Elohim. All right? He taught you how to keep the law. All right, so he's the word of Yah. He's the son of Elohim that was sent. And through him, we get into this kingdom through our faith in him. All right, go ahead.
Husbands, love your wives, just as Mashiach loved the congregation and gave himself for it.
So now it's talking to the husbands. Husbands, love your wives, even as Mashiach also loved the congregation and gave himself for it. So after he taught it and raised it up, he gave himself for the congregation, his wife. All right, the church is his wife, right? Go ahead.
That he might sanctify and cleanse it with the washing of water by the word.
So he set us apart by the things he taught, and when we started to internalize those things, we became set apart through our practice. All right, so we was washed in the spirit. All right, washed clean in the spirit. All right, being renewed in the mind, realizing that we can defeat death through operating spiritually. He gave us, prophecies of what was to come of the kingdom, and that boosted people's faith. Right? Go ahead and read.
That he might present it to himself a glorious congregation, not having spot or wrinkle or any such thing, but that it should be kodesh and without blemish. So husbands ought to love their own wives as their own bodies. He who loves his wife loves himself.
So he who loves his wife loves himself. All right, we need to think about how we can love our wives. Wives need to think about how they can love and respect their husbands. All right, who's in that seat of authority. All right, some of y'all have a problem with authority. Right, you can't not just do your own will. The scriptures talking. This is not me talking. I'm expounding, but these scriptures is the ones that's speaking. So any of y'all trying to do your own will, the man set the authority in his house. Any of you trying to do your own will against your husband, it is an unrighteous woman, period. When you challenge your husband in the public, you unrighteous, all right? In public, you try to make a mockery of him, you are unrighteous, all right? When husbands do the same thing, you are unrighteous, all right? Because at the end of the day, you're supposed to love your wife as you love yourself. If you don't want to be put on blast in public, you don't put your wife on blast. And likewise for wives, if you don't want to be put on blast in public, don't put your husband on blast. All right? So y'all got to start. How can you love? The scriptures tell us to love our neighbor as we love ourselves. Well, how much more the husband and the wife? That's not important. Just gonna love our neighbor. We ain't gonna love our wife, or we not gonna love our husband. You got to think about that. The scriptures tell us to love our neighbor as we love ourselves. Come on, man. Read.
For no one ever hated his own flesh, but nourishes and cherishes it, just as Yahuwah does the congregation. For we are members of his body, of his flesh, and of his bones. For this reason a man shall leave his father and mother, and be joined to his wife, and the two shall become one flesh.
The two shall become one flesh. So when you get married, hopefully you all are getting married too. Some of y'all is fornicating and sex is not marriage. When you get married and become one, then you gotta, like I mentioned how when I mentioned how in regards to the brotherhood, we treat our neighbor as we treat ourselves. You are one with your wife. Your wife is one with you. Y'all should always look out for each other's best interests. Always. And there's no time where you should veer off from that path. It should always be, let me think about how this would affect her. Let me think about how this would affect him. All right? You have to do it. And that's the righteous way to operate. That's how a man of valor and a virtuous woman would operate. Remember, in Proverbs 31, it says a virtuous woman sees a field and considers what she may do with it. All right, thinking about her family. She gets up early and serves her. She gets up late at night and serves her family. Stuff like that. Think about these things. These things. Why did you marry your wife? Why did you marry your husband? Or was it just because of the flesh? What other things did they do for you? Think about those things, those other attributes besides the looks that caused y'all to want to become one. What were these things that caused y'all to want to become one? Keep those things in mind, and every time you'll overcome Satan and his devices, I guarantee you. And then keep those things in mind, and then along with prayer and fasting, when you're going through something, you're going to go through things, but you got to figure a way of how to get through them. Okay? 1 Peter, this is the last one. 1 Peter 3:1. As a matter of fact, before we go there, no, this is not the last one. I'm sorry. Go to Matthew 10. Yeah, 1 Peter is my last one. Matthew 10, Matthew 10 and verse 34, read down to 36. Matthew 10 and verse 34.
Matthew chapter 10, verse 34. Do not think that I am come to bring peace on earth. I did not come to bring peace, but a sword. For I have come to set a man against his father, and a daughter against her mother, and a daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law. A man's foes shall be they of his own household.
Now look at that. A man's foes shall be they of his own household. All right. So, and you think about what Paul was saying, how it will always be strife in the flesh. So you're not always going to get along. There's going to be some times you have a falling out, but enduring through those things is what will keep you in keep your marriage secure, keep you in right standing with the Most High. All right, keep those things in mind. The reasons why you married your spouse in the first place, you should keep that fresh in your mind. All right, you're going to go through things. It's not going to always be peachy, right? You're going to go through things. All right, enemies will be they of your own household. Right? Think in terms of marriage, how that would affect you. Go to 1 Peter 3:1.
1 Peter chapter 3 at verse 1. Likewise, you wives, be submissive to your own husbands, that even if he do not obey the word, they without the word may be won by their conduct of their wives. Mm-hmm. When they observe your chaste conduct accompanied by fear, do not let your beauty be that outward adorning of arranging of hair, of wearing of gold, or putting on of fine apparel.
Now look at that. So now, he talks about while they behold your chaste behavior coupled with fear. All right, so it's talking to wives. How do you get your husband's attention? Well, this is one of the ways. It's not going to be through yelling and shouting when you feel like he's not receiving what you're saying, or you feel like you can't get through to him. You keep operating with that chaste behavior. Right? You don't get outside of the ruach. You don't start yelling and shouting and saying all type of obscenities to disrespect your man. Right? And just go for the husbands as well. It's going to get into that. Right? Go ahead.
But let it be the hidden person of the heart, with the incorruptible ornaments of a gentle and quiet ruach, which is very precious in the sight of Elohim.
Right. So don't see. So verse 3 it says, "Whose adorning let it not be that outward adorning." All right. Talking to the sisters, don't let that your outward adorning. And that's not saying you can't wear nice things, but it's talking about don't let you be defined by the things that you wear. All right. And then it goes into read that verse 4 again.
But let it be the hidden person of the heart.
Let it be the hidden person of the heart. All right. The inner man or the inner woman, how you are made up. If you're in the mind of the Mashiach, that should actually define who you are. Operating in the Holy Ruach. Go ahead.
But let it be of the hidden person of the heart, with the incorruptible ornament of a gentle, quiet ruach, which is very precious in the sight of Elohim.
I like them Jews. Look at that. Remember we talked about them Jews? That ornament right there. We need that ornament. The holy ruach is that ornament. All right, that is going to help us to stand out. Go ahead.
For in this manner, in former times, the Kodesh women who trusted in Elohim also adorned themselves, being submissive to their own husbands. As Sarah obeyed Abraham, calling him master, whose daughters you are, if you do good and are not afraid with any terror.
Now, I can see right now some of these sisters probably frowning. Even as Sarah obeyed Abraham, calling him Lord, some of y'all sisters be frowning when y'all read that. Or y'all hear another sister calling them Lord, calling her husband Lord.
She doing too much.
Yeah, she doing too much.
Calling him master and Lord, king. That nigga name is Jacob.
Wow. Now, while you don't have to necessarily, unless y'all have that arrangement, if you have that arrangement, fine. While you may not necessarily call your husband Lord, but it's just showing how Sarah was in full subjection to Abraham and being a righteous woman. She was in full subjection to Abraham because, again, the man had authority on the earth. I mean, you got to remember, in the very beginning, the Most High gave mankind as a whole to be over the earth, to have dominion over the earth. And then he created man first. Remember, it says that the woman was given, the man was not made for the woman, but the woman was made for the man. Remember, the man was already working. Then he created the woman because he felt like mankind as a whole was not complete. Right? Finish that out.
Likewise, you husbands,
Now it's talking to the husbands. Go ahead.
dwell with them with understanding, giving honor to the wife, as to the weaker vessel, and being heirs together of the grace of life, that your prayers be not hindered.
That your prayers be not hindered. All right. Talking about talking to the husbands. You husbands dwell with them according to knowledge, giving honor unto the wife as unto the weaker vessel. Right? So husbands, when we think about how we're going to operate in these marriages, I know that we're the authority in the house, but we have to have the ability to reason. I know sometimes we're going to be at odds with our spouse, with our wife, but we have to have the ability to reason and always hear each other out. Always hear each other out. All right? It cannot be because you think you're right and you think you're right, you're not willing to listen to each other. Right? Can you give me Proverbs 18 and 13 real quick?
Proverbs 18:13. He who answers a matter before he hears it, it is a folly and a shame to him.
Right. So you want to always hear each other out. And that goes for in any scenario. But we're talking about marriage right now. The man of valor, the virtuous woman. Okay? When there's strife between you two, you got to try to hear each other out. One person, sometimes the woman is going to be right. She may have wisdom, just like Sarah had. All right? The Most High had to intervene and let Abraham know, no, that's the right way to go. Sometimes the man is going to be right. Right? We got to be willing to accept that. Pride will keep us from accepting that. Right? And with that, I digress. Shalom.
We got a couple questions on here. First question. Did Yeshua teach anything outside the Torah pertaining to your statement, righteousness is Torah, and the teachings of Yeshua?
Did he righteousness?
So I'm guessing your statement was righteousness is Torah, and the teachings of Yeshua. So the question is, did Yeshua teach anything outside of the Torah?
No, he didn't. No,
He did bring it out.
yeah, if
That's what it sounds like.
yeah, okay. Maybe I think I just said that. I don't think he taught nothing outside of Torah though. No, I don't think he taught nothing outside of Torah. If I said that, I'm sorry, but I don't remember him teaching. I don't think he ever taught nothing outside of Torah. I've never seen that. As a matter of fact, he taught Torah, and as a way, he taught Torah and walked it. And when you think about the Pharisees, they even tried to challenge him as if he had taught something separate, and he didn't. There was nothing they could really challenge him with, because at that time they had created man-made laws, which would later become like the Mishnah, the Talmud, stuff like that. No, I've never seen that. If I said that, I'm sorry. I want to apologize. I've never seen that.
What do you mean when you say talk to the Most High? So I think this is like referring to when you said if a sister going through it with her husband.
Go and pray. Go and pray. Go pray about your situation. If you're going through it with your husband, go and pray. When I say talk to the Most High about it, you have to go and pray about your situations. You should already be in prayer in the first place, but you're not always going to get through to your husband. And with him having that authority in the house, so if you're not getting through to him, it's no time to go and start yelling all type of crazy stuff to him. Go and pray about it. Pray that he receive it. I mean, my wife once told me when we were courting, things would be on her heart that I wasn't necessarily receiving, and then all of a sudden I would text her about the very thing that was on her heart, and let her know, give her the answer that she was looking for. This is what my wife said to me back when we were courting back in 2017. All right? So it takes for you to go to the Most High and talk to him about your issues. I think we don't take prayer serious enough. This basic thing, we don't take it serious enough. We don't believe in the power that it can bring to our lives. And so if you're a woman that's in a marriage and you're really, really trying to be submissive to your husband, and you just feel like you're going through some things with him and he's not receiving stuff, then you got to go pray about it, because it's only the Most High that can bring a change of heart. Right?
What's the issue with the bar?
What bar?
I guess you said, yeah, say wicked as hell, going to the bar.
Well, no, it's just like this. Brothers be half-stepping in this walk. You know what I'm saying? We got to grow up. We got to be set apart. You know what I mean? Brothers are still dealing with smoking. Brothers, and I'm talking about on a bigger plane than just here. It's probably brothers still smoking in here too, but brothers is going out to the clubs, brothers going out to the bar. Listen, you got to tighten up, man. All right? I know everybody in here ain't 100. I'm just conscious of that. All right? We got to grow up in this walk. And if you keep half-stepping, it ain't me you got the answer to. It ain't these brothers you got the answer to. It's the Most High, because a lot of brothers is going out to the bar in environments that's unrighteous. Why are you going to the strip club and you supposed to be set apart? Why are you going to the clubs and stuff like that where you know it's going to be smoking, drinking, and if you used to deal with this in the world, you getting tempted with that, and you now end up back in the world? Why are you dealing with this stuff like that? Separate yourself from it. You know what I'm saying? Start to set yourself around righteous individuals, and create, start to develop through prayer, through fasting, through practice, develop that Mashiach-like mind state. All right, we got the kingdom that we trying to chase, and we playing with this thing, and it ain't no game. You know what I mean? So, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. I'm just talking about as a whole, because there be brothers half-stepping, just like in the Christian church. Christian church, they be in the strip club on Saturday. They in church on Sunday. You know what I'm saying? Stuff like that.
Like Quab always say, man, bro, with anything, bro. If you don't know how to do this stuff, stop it. You don't know how to watch TV? Turn it off.
Turn it off.
If you don't know how to enjoy yourself without being a son of Belial or what else can you say? Whatever else there is, stop it.
You can drink modestly, you know what I'm saying? Control it.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta be in control of it. It don't control you.
Yes.
If you can't drink responsibly or modestly, if you can't do the Boaz, just get your little drinky drink, you know what I'm saying, and be cheerful. You know what I mean? It's good to be cheerful, not to be plastic. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? You know, just, I mean, watch yourself, man.
Mm-hmm.
Watch yourself. It says be Kodesh always. So if you find yourself out of pocket, you're not being Kodesh, you know, tighten up.
Just like when we went to
Cincinnati.
Cincinnati, right? And we got on a boat ride.
Yeah.
Right? So we just had a boat ride in the city the week prior,
Mm-hmm.
right? And they rented out the whole entire floor. So it was nothing but quote unquote rules in there, where it was somebody else in there that shouldn't have been there.
Right.
So again, we going down to this joint, and we thinking the same exact thing, that it's gonna be like what we just had prior,
Nothing but brew.
right? Nothing but rules. But to our thing, to our dismay, even before we got on the boat, I'm like, yo, there's whores in here.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And then we on this boat, and I'm like, wow, if somebody were to film us in this thing right now,
Mm-hmm.
we would be ruined.
Yes.
Everybody would say, I told y'all they in it. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
It would have been a bad look.
Right.
We wouldn't be able to, nobody ain't gonna hear it. No, bro, they ain't gonna hear it.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
Now, the brothers go in there and act a fool? No. But it's the thought, it's the sight, it's the,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So,
Yep.
yeah, what Quab and them just be, oof.
Mm-hmm. You know they're gonna blame Quab first. Quab and his children. Oh my God, man. What's up with him, man?
Quab just be tripping.
Yep.
They blasted. Was it Quad? No, it was somebody else.
Right.
He dapped him up, so it's he.
Right. All right, we got anything else? Oh man, my ox Trav. Did anybody ever tell you that on YouTube you look just like Gerald Levert?
We tell him all the time. My wife just said it yesterday.
I am chosen seeds, Gerald Levert.
Voice and all.
Man. Any more questions? Going once. Going twice. So, let's pray out. We gonna pray. We gonna pray. We gonna pray. We gonna pray. Pray out. Pray out. We gonna pray. We gonna pray. We gonna pray. We gonna pray. Pray out. Pray out. Oh wait, you asked me about am I gonna leave it?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. We got that paper. Do we got that? The joint. Usually one in here.
Nope, we won't be doing that one today.
Right. Abba Yahuwah, we come before you, thanking you for allowing this message to go forward today, Father. We ask that you look down into the homes of your believers, that you see the strife, the turmoil that goes on in these marriages, Father. We ask that you go in and you initiate the rebuilding of our homes, Father, that you initiate the rebuilding of men being men of valor and women being women of valor, that we bring forth fruits that are meet to be that couple that you will want us to be, Father. Fruits that are meant that would allow us the opportunity to be looked upon with your eyes, Father. For we know that your eyes are pure. We ask that if there's any issues that are dwelling inside of our hearts towards our spouses, Father, that you help us work them out. That we know that these things don't get solved in a day, but we know that respect and reverence of you can solve anything. Abba, we love you and we honor you. We ask you for those that are singles, that tune in and that see these lessons, Father, that they take hold to your word and know what to look forward to, that they get not weary in their well-doing and abstaining, that they make sure that they keep themselves abstinent, Father, and continue to look for a righteous counterpart, but they be engulfed in your word so they be not distracted by anybody that you're not trying to put them with. Abba, we ask that you cover us all in this season. We ask that we send another prayer up for Brother Yeshaya's family, that whatever the hearts and the minds of their families is going through, Father, that you comfort them, and that his little cousin, Father, is made okay, Father. Whatever's going on, Abba, you know the details, you know the inner workings, Abba. We just ask that you be there and you stand in the stead. Abba, there's things that are on the hearts and the minds of your people, Father, that haven't been uttered. We ask that you allow your Ruach to make intercession, that these things be petitioned unto you, up to you from our hearts, Abba. All these things we pray and we give thanks in the mighty name of your Son, Yahushua HaMashiach, Ruach HaKodesh. So be it.
So be it.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Abi Nu, Shabbat Shemayim, Ikadosh, Shanka, Tavo,
Malkuka,
Yaseh, that's on Ka, Baresh, Kashir.